So in stark contrast to day 3, where India fought back valiantly, on day 4, England actually wrapped things up pretty quickly, taking the remaining 8 wickets for 63 runs and handing India an innings defeat by 76 runs. And to talk about it today, we have someone from Kolkata, India, who's been in the sports industry for around 2.5 decades, Saurav Chatterjee, on this volume of
CRIQAZI Diaries.
Have a look at that, miles up, oh, it's nearly taken someone out the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like a rocket. Well, wicket for 24.
So Saurav bhai, welcome to the show. It's an absolute honor to have you over here. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay.
Absolute pleasure.
That sounds great. So to start things off, I just wanted to ask you that after the high at Lord's, what went wrong for India at Headingley? They were so on top and they had all of the momentum. So what do you think was the main pain point for India in this test match?
I think, if you look at the Lord's test match, it was a very even battle throughout. And it was just on the last day that India really, took off. And so I think, in my opinion, there were still a lot of chinks in the Indian armour. And also, because of the way England collapsed in the second innings, maybe a bit of overconfidence had set in. It definitely was a jolt to see the team skittled out on the first day. I don't think there's any justification for that. So it was yes, there was something in the wicket. Yes, it's a fresh pitch at Headingley, but come on, not 70-something all out. No.
Agreed. And especially the way they played the first 2 test matches. Like, my pre-series prediction was 2-2. But after those first 2 test matches, I honestly thought that India would take this fairly comfortably. So I guess credit to England for coming back the way they did. But Saurav, given that India has now collapsed twice in this last test match, first they were rolled over for 78 on day 1. And then on day 4, they lost their last 8 wickets for 63 runs without putting up much of a fight against the new ball. Is this a cause for concern for the visitors going forward in this series?
Of course, it's a huge concern. If you look at Indian cricket over the last 2 years, it's our bowlers that are winning us matches. It's the batsmen, our famed batting lineup, is just not clicking. And it's sad because these are class acts. I mean, our middle order, 3, 4, 5, are 3 class batsmen. So it's definitely an area of concern. I'm not sure if we've got our balance, team balance quite right. So, yeah. It brings out slightly unpredictable side to the team, which is, before in the 90s and the early part of this century, turn of the century, Indian middle order was our strength and our batting was our strength. But now it seems like our bowlers are our strength, and we have a great batting order on paper, but certainly not in form.
Interesting that you bring up that middle order. It obviously boasts some big names. I mean, Pujara, Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane. They are established players in Test cricket. They've done it before. And Kohli and Pujara did get runs in the second innings. So is their form still a cause for concern, given that if you take these innings out, of course, they haven't been amongst the runs a lot. And neither has scored 100 since 2019. In fact, Virat Kohli has gone 52 innings in international cricket without 100, and he scored 70. So this is a player that many consider as the undisputed GOAT across formats. And here he is, not being able to score a century for so long. So do you think that Pujara and Kohli are now out of hot waters after this innings, or are they still, on thin ice?
See, it's very sad that someone like Pujara is always under the scanner. And he hasn't been in the best of form, but none of the Indian batsmen have. Apart from, say, Rohit to some extent. And Rahul's just got back into the side and he's done well. But I have a very controversial opinion on Virat. I think he's a great batsman, probably among the best in the world across all formats. But, I don't think I think India needs him as a batsman. India certainly doesn't need him as a captain. So if you had Virat concentrating as a batsman, then I think he would be under the scanner, and a class act like him, I'm sure, would come through or not come through. But that he doesn't even come under the scanner because he's the captain, so he's an automatic choice. So the ones under the scanner are Pujara and unfortunately Rahane, and Rahane hasn't done enough. Even though I'm a big fan of his, to justify his place in the side, especially if they're going to play with 5 batsmen.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question to you. Ajinkya Rahane, he's dug India out of a hole on so many occasions in the past. You can remember the Australia series that India just played, and Rahane stepped up over there. And the fact that he's averaged around 21 in 10 tests in 2021, that's not up to par, and I personally think that his place is definitely under the scanner, especially when you've got batsmen like Hanuma Vihari waiting in the wings who have proven their credentials in Test cricket. But considering that Ajinkya Rahane is the vice captain, do you see him losing his spot? Because Kohli backs both Pujara and Rahane like anything. So what do you reckon? Do you think they'll make the change, or do you think they should make the change?
It's interesting that you brought up Vihari. But I think one of our best batsmen in our country across all formats is Surya Kumar Yadav, Sky. And, I've been a big fan of Rahane, and you don't have to go too far back in history. Lord's Test, his partnership with Pujara, if it wasn't for that, we would have been out. We would have been dead and buried on the 4th day, 1 test down. So let's not forget that also. But yes, how long is the rope that you can throw at them? But I would definitely play Surya Kumar Yadav. He's in the form of his life. He's confident. He's got the defense. He's got the strokes. So maybe I think India just needs a new injection of life, something different. We are becoming very predictable. We are not playing to our strengths. So I don't know. This was a kind of lesson for us. I thought we were getting a little cocky and a little overconfident, in the way we were playing and addressing the game. Because test matches are always played in stages, and each session by session you're judged by, and the game changes as the session passes by. So maybe Headingley, maybe that little jolt we needed, and we need to find the right team combination.
Very interesting that you brought up Surya Kumar Yadav, because he has had a stellar IPL career and limited overs. Even he took some time to break into those teams, and he still isn't a regular feature. So one begs to question, when will we see Surya Kumar Yadav? I mean, as far as Test cricket is concerned, I'm not sure of his red ball credentials. I don't have much knowledge about his Ranji scores and stuff, but I'm sure that
he's a prolific scorer in first-class cricket across all formats. He's got the game. He's got all the strokes. He's got the defense. He's technically sound. He's confident. He's at the top of his game right now. So generally, maybe Rahane, he's a class act, and maybe a break might do him a bit of good, because something needs to change. We can't go in with this combination and expect to win.
Especially when your top order is going so well, and they have actually, Rohit and KL Rahul have contributed so much. And then your lower order too, like lower middle order, Jadeja and Pant give you runs fairly consistently, even though Pant had a really bad outing. But I do agree over there that India definitely seems like they need a bit of an injection of new blood in the middle order, and some sort of change definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a little flexibility there. What I find with the team management, especially Kohli's leadership, is he's flexible on every ball. He's changing the field, he's doing this, he's doing that. But when it comes to team composition, he's a little set in his ways, and he, is not very flexible there.
hold that thought because I have a segment specifically on Virat Kohli's captaincy. But for now, I'd like to shift the focus a bit on England. Let's start with Ollie Robinson, actually. He was India's tormentor-in-chief on day 4 and he bagged 5 wickets. And I just wanted to ask you, what do you make of this player who's very new to Test cricket? And he's already gone through a lot with the scandal, the racist tweets that he sent, and he also got a small ban. So taking that into consideration, and then also the fact that he's gotten 23 wickets in his first 4 Test matches at an average of less than 18, which are quite stellar numbers. And his release point is quite high. I think that's what gives him an advantage. So what do you make of Ollie Robinson going forward in this English team?
I think he's one of those who are perfect for English conditions. A great asset to have. He's at the batsman. He's like you said, uncomfortable character to play. As far as his, the controversial side, I think we should all let that be. He was a young lad. Everyone, especially with social media and the way it is today, a lot of people don't get away with things that a lot of us got away in our juvenile days and, silly days. So I think that's we should just look at him from a cricketing point of view, and he's doing the job and he's happy to be playing. He's done his time. He served a Test ban or 2. I'm not too sure how long he was kept out. And perfect in English conditions. What would be interesting to see how he'd do in Australia.
Yeah, that would be.
Sure. I'm not sure he'd be the same bowler there, but you never know.
Yep, very, very valid point. And I think that Ashes series that's coming up in Australia, that would kind of maybe give us a better idea if Ollie Robinson is one for the long haul or not. Anyway, moving on to English skipper Joe Root. He's having a prolific year in Test cricket. He's already scored 1,398 runs and he's only 390 away from Mohammad Yusuf's record of 1,788 in a calendar year. He also has 600s, which is the joint most for an English player in a calendar year, and only one behind Ricky Ponting's 7 as the most by a captain in a year in Test cricket. Mohammad Yusuf also holds the record for most centuries in a calendar year in Test cricket, which is 9. So all of these records are in Joe Root's sides, and he's also in India is his favorite team, seems like it. Like he scored 23 Test hundreds, 8 have come against India, and he is the most prolific century maker in India and England Tests. So my question is that having already scored 300s in 3 Test matches, as an Indian supporter and from India's perspective, how do you stop this guy?
I wish we knew, but while I'm a Indian and of course I support my country and I'm a cricket supporter, and it's a pleasure to see Joe Root bat. He's so easy on the eye. The way he plays the game, the way he addresses the sport, the way he leads. I think he's a remarkable human being and a great leader. When he took responsibility for that brain fade that they had in the last Test match, it takes a man, it takes a lot of courage to admit your faults. And the way he's batting, he looks, it's going to be really difficult for India to get him out. And you never know. And somehow English captains like Alistair Cook, Graham Gooch in the past, they've all seemed to thrive on Indian bowling. Maybe it's the leadership, the responsibility of leadership that brings out the best in a lot of captains. But he's in the form of his life, and when you're a great batsman, and there are 3 or 4 right now in the world, when they're in this kind of form, they'll cash in, and and that's how because they know bad form is just around the corner. So I'd back him to break a record or 2. Not sure how many of them, but I'd back him to break a record or 2.
Well, considering he's still got 5 tests remaining in the year, 2 in this India series and then 3 from the Ashes in 2021, I'd give him a fair shout to break all of those records, honestly. And albeit Mohammad Yusuf got those in way less innings, he only got them in 19 innings, but that doesn't take anything away from Joe Root. He's been fantastic. And as you pointed out, he's been really mature. He's grown as a leader over the years. And he's just an absolute treat to watch, isn't he? He's so aesthetically pleasing, plays the ball so late. And even as an Indian supporter, I'm sure all of Indian supporters definitely acknowledge and appreciate the sort of form that Joe Root is in. Moving on to the remainder of, the rest of the English batting, they've changed up things. Hameed and Burns have opened now, and they put up an opening stand of 135. That's a marked improvement from the Burns and Sibley opening stand. And then also David Malan at number 3, someone who's seen a lot of success in limited overs cricket but was unsuccessful in the test arena. Now he's come back and he scored a very, very attractive 70, so good with his cut shots and drives. Do you think that England has actually revived their batting order over here and will fare better in the remaining of the series?
Yes, they have. And I think we should also take a leaf out of England's books. Because, I'm of the theory that a good batsman is a good batsman. Yes, some people have better defense, some people are more equipped to play, white ball cricket, and some are better at red ball cricket. But, Malan is one of the world's top T20 batsmen. He couldn't be one of the world's best T20 batsmen if he couldn't bat. So Sibley is that old-fashioned kind of batsman, which not everyone can do it like a Pujara. Pujara is a unique character. There are very few batsmen like him in the world right now, and that's why he stands out right now for his bad performances, because he's never had such a bad run before. But so yes, they've relooked at their batting, and very rightfully so. Hameed looks confident now. He didn't look that confident in the last test match. I think, and again, India got it wrong with giving Ishant Sharma, who was definitely the weakest link in our bowling attack, the new ball, keeping Bumrah back. I mean, when you have one opener who's not in the best of form and almost, job on the line, a new entrant in Hameed, and you send in Ishant Sharma, bowling at 125 on friendly, what we thought were friendly conditions, because we were bowled out for 70 odd just before that. So a combination of all of this, and all you need is a few runs behind your name and your confidence comes back. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. They had 100 and something at the end of play, but the first 50 or 60 runs came really easy, which shouldn't have happened.
That is true. So you mentioned how Ishant Sharma was not a good selection. I actually backed Ishant after the Lord's test because, in Lord's, he's been very successful. He's got a 7 for India back in 2014, I believe. And he was pretty good at Lord's as well. I like what I saw from him, but he did not look impressive at all in this test. Consistently short and wide. The pace wasn't up to the mark. And I think India missed a trick there by giving him the new ball. It was a no-brainer to give Shami and Bumrah the new ball. And I think that's one mistake that Virat Kohli made. But let's speak about potential changes to India's 11 for the Oval Test. Now, Saurav, we all know that Oval is that wicket in England which always offers a bit of turn for the spinner. So is this finally when we might get to see Ravichandran, Ashwin in the team, especially given Jadeja might be an injury scare at this point?
I think, when Shane Warne was the best spinner in the world, you tell me once when he was dropped.
Yeah.
No matter where he
I can tell you once, I think Colin Miller replaced him and Steve Waugh had a bit of a tussle with Warne, but that's obviously different. But carry on.
Yeah, so when you have the best spinner in the world in your side and a person who's getting wickets in English conditions, as you can see from his county stint, an intelligent bowler with a lot of variation, bowls well to left-handers, bowls well to right-handers, you must play him.
he's no mug with the bat either.
Yeah, it's not like he's got 4 or 5 test hundreds, but that's you can't put in a team which is like like an arrangement of different players just so that you want a certain balance. You're putting in a team and strengthening the batting because your 3 middle order players are out of form.
Yep.
But look, Jadeja is a superb spinner in helpful conditions. Mm-hmm. Like in India, sometimes he gets more wickets than Ashwin, but he's not. I mean, there'd be very little difference between Jadeja and say even an Akshar Patel or someone.
In foreign conditions.
In foreign conditions. While Ashwin is in a different league as a spinner. Maybe their records are very similar, maybe because they bowl in very helpful conditions most of the time in India. But Ashwin is someone who can do the long the dirty work in terms of filling in those overs, keeping the batsman honest, and I think he made a mistake even though he won the Lord's Test not playing him.
Interesting.
You saw how Moeen got a lot of purchase from that wicket. Think of Ashwin bowling on the same pitch.
I agree, and I think that initially I thought that maybe Ashwin shouldn't be introduced so early into the series, given that India's 4-seamer attack plus Jadeja was doing so well. But the turn that I saw on offer on day 4 made me think the same thing, that goddamn, if Ashwin was here, he would have be licking his lips. So I think it's the perfect time to introduce him actually for the Oval Test, especially given it's been a successful wicket for spinners in the past. But moving on to other potential changes, we've obviously talked about Surya Kumar for Ajinkya Rahane, and then you also mentioned how disappointed you were with Ishant Sharma's performance. He's also on the wrong side of 30 now. So would you bring back Shardul Thakur for Ishant Sharma, or would you go with 2 spinners with Jadeja and Ashwin, given Jadeja is obviously, if he is available?
See, if Jadeja is available, I would just make one change, Surya Kumar for Rahane at the moment. But he's not available. I'd probably bowl with 3 pacers and Ashwin and take Hanuma Vihari. Make sure that because the batting, our bowlers are good, and with Ashwin there, it adds an attacking dimension to the bowling attack, which we didn't have in Jadeja.
One problem with that would be though that the bowlers might get fatigued because you're only playing 4 bowlers. So wouldn't that potentially play a role?
Yeah, but you have like Siraj is full of energy. Hanuma Vihari bowls off spin, so he could turn his arm over in slightly helpful conditions at the Oval. But I think we need to really look at our batting, and somehow we're just not getting enough runs, and we start looking vulnerable the minute 1 or 2 wickets fall, which should never happen. And yes, bowlers get you wickets, but you need some runs on the board. You can't draw or win a match if you're getting less than 100 runs or even less than 200 runs in an innings. And then you have Joe Root in the form of his life.
Yep.
You can go in with your 5 batsmen theory when Virat's scoring 100 after 100 like he used to, or Pujara's batting for almost the whole day and getting you runs. But when no one's getting you runs, then your 5 bowler theory is not the best.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. If you ask me, I would change Rahane for anyone at this point. I would bring Hanuma or even Surya Kumar Yadav, since you've said that he has a stellar first-class record. But what I would do over here is that if Jadeja is available, I would actually go with 2 spinners. I would play both Ashwin and Jadeja on the Oval wicket, and then Siraj, Bumrah and Shami as the pace trio. But if Jadeja is not available, then unfortunately, rather than playing Akshar Patel, I think he's in the squad. I would actually go with Shardul because he was looking pretty good before he got injured. So I would add him, and that would add batting depth, right? Ashwin bats, Shardul bats. So that would be my answer to that. But seems like Virat Kohli is really hell-bent on this balance that this team has, and that brings me to my next question. That, you know, we all agree that Virat Kohli, the leader, is fantastic. He's set this new culture for the Indian team. Everyone gives their 110%. Everyone backs their ability, and the fitness regime is really strong. You see all of these Indian cricketers coming out now; they're fit as hell. So I give a lot of credit to Virat Kohli as far as changing that mentality is concerned, and taking the good work from.
Can I stop you there?
Sure.
Yes, Indian cricketers are far fitter, and Virat is the benchmark. But I don't think he's the one who changed the mentality. Okay, I think the mentality changed. See, as I've been following Indian cricket from the 70s and 80s, and we just didn't have. We had just 2 or 3 world-class cricketers in the 70s and 80s, you know, and they used to carry the team. Then after the World Cup win and after the the World Series win, that's when cricket became really popular and more talent came out.
When Ravi Shastri won the Man of the Series, isn't it?
Yes. But in terms of mentality, when we had a bunch of talented fighters from all over the country, you know, before Indian cricket used to be all about Bombay and Delhi players, with a little 1 or 2 from Karnataka, 1 or 2 from here or there, whatever. Now, when Saurav Ganguly took over after the big controversy in Indian cricket, he had these young bunch from all over, you know, fearless. I think a lot of credit goes to Saurav Ganguly for changing the mentality. And after Saurav, Dhoni, you know, brought his own unique style, and Dhoni led by example. Dhoni had put a lot of faith in his youngsters, and another crop of players came up. Virat is carrying that on, but as leaders, all 3 are extremely different.
Agreed.
And so yes, Virat has a very positive mentality. His body language is aggressive. I think he's far more aggressive than even Saurav was. Saurav was aggressive with a lot of inner aggression. You know, while Dhoni was Captain Cool, and his aggression was all in his gloves or in his bat. You know.
Yep.
But he never exposed any of that aggression. Virat, I think, is a little too aggressive.
That's a very interesting perspective you bring out over there. I personally think that, you know, I 100% agree that Saurav Ganguly is the one who revolutionized Indian cricket, and then Dhoni took that forward and he took the pressure off the players because he was so cool as a captain, and he just, that mentality that go out there and have fun, I think that bit is Dhoni has introduced that. But Virat, I would like to give him credit for overseas wins. I'm not sure if that's just because India have so many world-class players now or such a potent bowling attack in Test cricket, but I will give him that credit because Dhoni's era, India did not compete as well overseas. However, going to my original question, Virat Kohli, the leader aside, let's talk about Virat Kohli, the captain, the tactician. Now, he is very rigid with respect to his team balance, and also he refused to admit that he got the toss wrong, whereas, you know, I feel like that was a big howler. You don't bat first on a Headingley wicket, especially given the recent trends that we've seen on that ground. So how do you rate as Virat the captain?
Yeah, so that's, I mean, I maintain Virat is one of the best batsmen in the world. Really, I love to watch him bat. You know, when he's in form, he's by far the best batsman across all formats. But as a captain, you know, I think sometimes his body language is not right. And it's no coincidence that whenever when he left left Australia for the birth of his kid, and Rahane took over. Rahane is exactly the opposite. You know, Rahane is cool, measured, and that's what Test cricket's all about. You know, you have at Kohli in this last Test match, we saw he was changing the field almost every ball. Not even at schoolboy cricket does one do that in a non-T20 kind of game. He was changing the field almost every ball. You know, he was jumping up and down at slip. I mean, at Lord's, Buttler was dropped because he was by Virat at a very crucial juncture, which luckily didn't cost us much. I think it's really time. India needs Virat the batsman. India really needs Virat the batsman right now. India does not need Virat the captain.
It's very, very interesting take over there. So, who would you potentially have replace him?
Rohit Sharma is an outstanding leader. Rahane is an outstanding leader. Unfortunately, out of form. You have a lot of other potential leaders coming up, but I mean, I wouldn't jump them straight into the captaincy slot. But KL Rahul, another class cricketer, can play across all formats. Pant has shown that he has leadership qualities. Ashwin is a great thinker and a reader of the game. So you have plenty of great minds there.
Yeah, I feel like Virat Kohli, the brand is now so big that he gets to call the shots in Indian cricket to a certain extent. That's very interesting perspective.
That's the disappointing part for me, because I think Virat overshadows the fact that the Indian cricket team has never been so strong in a long time. We've got world-class bowlers, we've got world-class batsmen, we've got one of the most talented wicketkeeper batsmen, exciting wicketkeeper batsmen in international cricket. We've got a great balance in our side.
Yep.
But what we're lacking right now is match-winning batsmen. And we have one in someone called Virat Kohli. We need that person. I mean, tomorrow you could have a Mike Really leading this Indian side and winning,
Yeah. No, I agree. I find your perspective very, very interesting. In fact, I don't think I've gotten that from anywhere else so far, because everyone does tend to defend Virat. But moving on, I don't think sort of this video would be complete if we didn't talk a little bit about Jimmy Anderson. 630 wickets. He's aging like fine wine, and still, to this day, he gets that prodigious swings in both ways, sets up batsmen. He's definitely winning the battle with Kohli in this series at the moment. And, he was frustrated with himself in the second test match, when emotions got the better of him. He acknowledged that, and he came back strong, played a pivotal role in that first innings when India were bowled out for 78. So some words on Jimmy, and then also how do you expect that Jimmy versus Kohli battle to go in the remainder of the series?
There's no doubt in my mind, and in anyone's mind who follows cricket, that Anderson's a legend. An absolute legend, one of the greatest swing bowlers ever, and he's, it's amazing. When he came to India, no one expected him to get wickets. He was getting wickets. He got wickets in India as well. So, he's a bit like Zlatan or Ronaldo or the ageless kind of wonder who, so at 39, he's getting wickets. Outstanding. The battle, I would love to see Virat, the batsman, come back. He's just, I don't know, he seems to be preoccupied with too much. And that's why we've lost out on Virat, the batsman, in the last 2 years. But if he and form is temporary, class is permanent, Virat's
Absolutely.
Class. So if he finds that form back, it will be an awesome battle and one to look forward to. And I'd back him, because I think conditions at the Oval or at Old Trafford could suit Virat. And but right now Jimmy has his number, and I'm not sure if he's going to let go of it. So
yeah, I think Sunil Gavaskar mentioned that Virat Kohli should call up Sachin Tendulkar, because Tendulkar was also troubled by Anderson a lot. But as a neutral, I would love to see Kohli fight back in this battle. And we all want competitive cricket in test matches, don't we? So moving on, just on a final note, Buttler is out of the fourth test, but I don't think that's a big miss for England, because Buttler wasn't amongst the runs anyway. And Johnny Bairstow can keep, so I don't think that's a big miss. But then Chris Woakes is back. and you could see Chris Woakes potentially replacing Sam Curran, who hasn't looked too good with both bat or ball. So given those changes coming in for England in mind, what do you reckon, who is favourite in this fourth test, and what is your prediction for the scoreline at the end of this series? I'm going to go 2-2. I think what I've seen from England in this last test, I think they have just enough to win one more test. But I do think that man for man, pound for pound, India are a better team, and they will definitely manage to win one more over here.
Let's see how the weather holds up. You know, yeah, that's because it could have been 2-1 right now. So I would say I'll back India because this team, you know, has a lot of fight in them, you know, and they once their backs are against the wall, they just jump back at you. And I'm backing characters like Pant and Siraj and of course Virat to come back, you know. Yeah, and so yes, the English team will look stronger with Woakes there, but let's be really honest. This is not the strongest thing, you know. Without Stokes, not the strongest. No Archer. So this is India's best opportunity.
It is. I agree.
And I think they got the jolt they needed. I'm backing India for a 3-1.
All right, then I love the confidence, and I hope the cricketing gods are smiling down upon you. Let's see how this series goes. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Saurav. It's been an absolute pleasure. Love talking cricket with you. We should definitely do this again.
Anytime. Your family is like my family. Some of the closest friends I've made while traveling the world and playing cricket. So anytime, it's an absolute pleasure to be on CRIQAZI Diaries.
CRIQAZI. Well, thank you so much for those kind words. I appreciate them a lot. And, you know, I've been a cricket tragic since 2002, 2003. So I'm giving it everything to, you know, and go pursue my dreams. So let's hope this works out. But anyway, folks, that's a wrap for volume 34. Again, thank you so much, Saurav. And then, of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon in order to be notified about my latest videos. Of course, if you have any questions which you want addressed in future volumes, please tweet them at DefMango using the hashtag AskCriqAZI. I'll catch you in the next India versus England test. That's all for now, guys. Kazi off the mic.
Have a look at that. Miles up. Oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat six right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like